Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest astrologer of them all?
It's you, genuinely divine, genuinely divine, genuinely divine.
I know, I know. Now run along, dears, and tell all of your friends about the fairest astrologer of them all. Don't forget to subscribe.
Hey everybody, it is your girl here, GenuinelyDivine, coming at you today with a video all about Aquarius Rising. If you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I want you guys to help me to reach my 30K subscriber count by January. So thank you guys so much. Also, click the notification bell so that you never miss an upload from me. What is your rising sign? Rising. So if you're here because you were born between the Aquarian dates, like I think it's January, something between January and February, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is my jam. I'm an Aquarius, so this is referring to me. This may not be the video for you. In all actuality, you can be born any day of the year, any month. It doesn't matter. What matters is what time you were born. If you don't know your rising sign, I am going to put a birth chart link in the drop down box below so you guys can have access to that information. Now, the rising sign is all about our projection, what we project onto the world, how people see us. In our minds and in our souls and in our spirit, we feel like we are our sun signs, like we embody the traits of our sun sign, and in every way that we live our life, that's how we feel. But in all actuality, the way people view us is our rising sign. Your rising sign is also a window to all of the other houses in your astrological chart. Rising sign is also a projection of your physical body, you know, what you look like. You know, of course the genes is also incorporated into this, but the rising sign also has a lot of bearings on what you look like as well. So if you guys would like to check out that video of physical appearance based on your rising and sun sign, I will link that video in the drop down box also. Let's talk about these Aquarius rising people. First of all, these are the rebels. Aquarius is the 11th sign, ruling the 11th house, the house of friendship, social organization, humanitarian, all of those great things. You know, this is definitely the friendship house. So Aquarian people are extremely friendly people. So when you first meet them, the idealism, you know, it's all about idealism. It's all about rebellion, you know, it's all about just individualistic thinking. You know, it's just this person who can be a tad bit weird. They're just different than most people. So having it as your rising, it actually influences your whole entire chart, which means that Saturn will become your chart ruler. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and is also co-ruled by Uranus. Now, this has been up for debate. You guys can kind of like look at it however you wish on this part. You can look at your chart ruler being Uranus as well as Saturn, or you can just say Saturn is your chart ruler with Uranus influence, or they're, you know, however you wish. But however, whichever, I'm gonna go with Saturn as being the actual chart ruler for most Aquarian people. Now, with that being said, a lot of times they deal with a lot of conflict. They deal with a lot of hard lessons throughout their life, kind of similar to Capricorn. But instead of it being more in the career sector and love, it deals with the way that they like to present themselves. It deals with social groups and things, you know, like how a group of people look at them and judge them. So they deal with a lot of conflict that's based on who they are as an individual. In Aquarius rising people, they're the type of people, sometimes they just really don't always know exactly where they belong. A lot of times they feel like the outcast, you know, the pariah. They don't always have the support system that they need throughout their lifetime, although they have good people. It's just like sometimes it just doesn't always seem to be enough. Also, when it comes to and I think that has a lot to do with Pisces being on the second house cusp of our self-worth, you know, our values, and also it deals with our money that we earn. So I feel like a lot of Aquarius rising people, they actually create these illusions about who they are or who they wish to be a lot of times, and in their mind they're starting to value themselves in that way, but then sometimes it's just like they don't value who they are. They don't actually always like who they are. They don't like being so different, but they can't like change it because it's a part of their nature, it's who they are. And even when they try to change it, they still come off as being kind of weird or just being a lot different. It just doesn't work out. So later on in life, they tend to learn to accept who they are and not try and change that. You know, having Pisces on that second house cusp of, you know, your self-worth and how you value yourself and what you look like, you just feel just indifferent because Pisces, they don't know a lot of times which way they're going. They don't know if they're going or coming. They can also be, like Aquarius rising people can also be very forgetful. And when it comes to like taking care of bills and handling money and stuff, it can be very difficult for Aquarius rising people. Now, of course, there's other aspects in your own personal birth chart that may change this. You may also have an interception where you don't even have Pisces in the second house, but whatever that case may be, you need to check that out for your own personal knowledge. But most Aquarius rising people, they will have Pisces on the second house cusp. Sometimes Aquarius rising people, they definitely need help with their finances, like handling money, because sometimes they can forget about bills, because even the most responsible Aquarius rising people with money, they can forget. Sometimes they can just wake up and be like, oh, did I pay that bill? Oh, did I do that? You know, or also they can be the type of people that just spend their money on things and be like, you know what, I can get back. I can get it back this way or that way, because they do have Jupiter ruling that 11th house, you know, because, you know, of your hopes and your wishes coming true. So a lot of times they do gain money and gifts from people, you know, that they're affiliated with somehow or another. They're always looking out for them, and they do have, you know, that type of foundation, you know, throughout their life. But sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, and then they find themselves in these difficult financial situations, or they're just kind of like, you know, just ignoring it. A lot of times they may even ignore their bills. They probably just take the bills and just hide them or something. Like they don't exist. Those are not real, because it's all about creating illusions for themselves. So they can be a tad bit irresponsible when it comes to their finances. Aquarius rising people, they do have Aries on the third house cusp. So when it comes to their communication, they can be very direct, very straightforward, and just like aggressive in all actuality. Now, especially when it comes to their intelligence, because Aries rules the head, and this being here in the communication house, they're going to be very aggressive about intelligence. They're going to be aggressive about movement. They're going to be very quick thinkers. They're like very quick thinkers. Like they're very smart. They can receive information and process it pretty quickly, especially, you know, when it comes to, you know, communication. Their comprehensive skills are amazing. So these people are just naturally smart people. That's why they're like the genius type sign, because they have this type energy, you know. Also, they hate slow moving people. They hate to be around people who are slow thinking, slow moving, slow in any way. They don't like to be affiliated with slow people. They just don't like it. And it's like, one thing I have to say to you Aquarius rising people, you have to understand that everybody is not a quick processor like you are, you know, and you have to take your time with people. You have to understand that we're all different. And also, don't be so aggressive with trying to get people to abide by your rules or abide by what you're saying. Although you're extremely smart and you know exactly what you're talking about, people have to believe, and they have to, you know, find out for themselves, because sometimes your energy when you're communicating can be so aggressive that you create conflict, and they don't want to listen to you. Although they know you're right, they don't want to listen to you. So that's something that you have to slow down. So Aquarius rising people, they can be quick thinkers, quick movers, you know. Aquarius rising people can definitely talk to themselves a lot, you know, like a lot of times. And that's why they're so genius, is because studies show that people who talk to themselves are very intelligent in every aspect of their life, the way they handle situations and things, because they've already talked it out with themselves. So when they actually face with the situation, they actually do a very good job, you know what I mean? So they make really good decisions. Now, with Taurus being here on the fourth house cusp, I feel like a lot of Aquarius rising people, they came from a very traditional background. Like they probably had a two-parent home where they had a mother, a father, you know, they had their siblings, they probably even had a dog, dog. You know, they had that traditional life setting, you know, where they probably went to church on Sundays. You know, they probably had a really nice home in a nice neighborhood and things of that nature. Of course, if there are malefic aspects in your birth chart, it's going to change my interpretation, but this is just a general overview. They probably had this nice neighborhood that they lived in. They had a nice family. They were just a nice, wholesome family, and that's what they came from. Maybe they had, the Aquarius rising person had a very good relationship with their mom, their dad, you know, especially their mom. They had a really good relationship with their mom, because their mom, you know, probably was a person who was, you know, very materialistic, you know, like very, you know, she always provided nice things. She loved like nice things, so she made sure that her Aquarius rising child had nice things as well. Aquarius rising people can actually feel like their mom or their least dominant parent just had this really special connection with them. They knew how to make them feel better about who they were and taught them how to value themselves. Even though you're different, it doesn't matter that you're different. You know, who you are is who you're supposed to be, and you need to embrace that. And it just really encouraged the Aquarius rising person. So I do feel like a lot of Aquarius rising people, they had really strong supporting parents behind them, especially the mom. So in life, they learned how to be creative. That's why they have that innovative spirit, you know, because on the 5th house cusp, they have Gemini there, which is the house of dating, you know, is the house of entertainment, is the house of anything that brings us pleasure, the house of the children, our children. And so having Gemini here on that 5th house cusp, a lot of times Aquarius rising people, they are the type of people, they're extremely creative when it comes to dating. They could be like the type of people, Gemini is a dual sign, so having Aquarius on the rising and then having Gemini in the 5th house of our dating and entertainment, the house of sex, they can just kind of like be the type of people, like actually this is one of those signs that they can date both, you know, both genders. Like they can actually have they can just date both genders, okay? Like they can just not feel like there's a gender, you know, or they just whoever they like. If it's a female and they're a female, so what? I like them, you know, I'm gonna date them. Or if it's a guy, I like them, you know, and whatever the case may be. I just feel like they're just the type of people, they just, what they feel, that's what they do. Because they did come from such a nurturing background that gave them the opportunity to love, you know, unconditionally, and they just want to not pass judgment. It's just like they just want to live their life and be free, because Gemini is an air sign, and air is all about being free, so you need that freedom. So they have that freedom to just choose to date whoever they want. I just feel like they may be the same gender loving person, or they may just be you know, bisexual to a certain extent, or they may be bi-curious when it comes to dating. So however the case may be, I feel like when it comes to entertainment, you know, they have a lot of fun. They like that kid-like energy. They got to have fun. You're not gonna find an Aquarius rising person with Gemini on the 5th house cusp sitting at home all the time and just not doing anything. A lot of times they're gonna find something to do. Even if they're not out and about doing anything, they're gonna be in their house doing something that's creative. They're gonna be on the phone talking, you know, about something that's entertainment. They love entertainment, so they may spend a lot of money on electronic devices because of the simple fact they love entertainment so much. These are the type of people that probably have these huge, you know, like a media room in their house, you know, so they invite family over, their family, they just sit there and they watch movies, they have popcorn, you know, so it's just like really big on entertainment. So that's something about the Aquarius rising person. They're just not dull people, they're just like fun people. Aquarius rising people, they do have Cancer on the 6th house cusp. The 6th house is all about our health, it's all about our work and routine. So having Cancer, which is the moon here, it's like, you know, they probably don't like responsibilities at all, you know, like it's kind of like an emotional thing for them. Like it's probably something that really bothers them when they're in their own space. They probably feel like, you know, I hate having to go to this stupid job every day. Oh my god, it's so boring, it's such a routine, and they just want to break free from that. I think a lot of Aquarius rising people, they just have this emotional disagreement with a routine. They just don't like it, you know, because they are the rebels, you know. Aquarius are just the rebels. They don't want to have no routine job. That's too freaking normal. They don't want normal. They want it, but they don't want it, you know. So it's just kind of conflicting for them. So they can have different moods when it comes to different things like that. Now, when it comes to like their health and stuff, you know, they're very emotional and they're very passionate about their health. So they can definitely, you know, it's ups and downs for them though with their health. Like sometimes they may be real big on the gym, and then there are other times they're like, oh, you know, I feel like going, because you know the moon, it waxes and it wanes, changes constantly. So they can just be up and down with their health. And also with Cancer being here, they probably can be the type of people who deal with things, you know, may have stomach problems, or, and the women, they may deal with issues with their breasts from time to time. So it just could be like, you know, different things that happen for them in that 6th house of health and routine. So it just can be a very emotional situation for them when they're talking about their work and talking about their health. It may be very emotional for them, or it may be something about their health that is just that just brings about very emotional feelings, you know, because, you know, they maybe have been born with a condition, or maybe they actually develop some type of condition, and when they talk about it or when they think about it, they may get very emotional about it. Actually, Cancer actually rules the home. So they, you know, Cancer is the natural ruler of the 4th house. So there could have been some type of emotional burden in their home life as well. You know, maybe their mom dealt with some type of issue that was concerning her health to a certain extent also. So maybe their Aquarius rising people, they do worry a lot about their mom, or maybe, you know, just whatever the case may be, because, you know, it could just be something that's very emotional, that when they talk about health and when they talk about work or routine. So it just can be an emotional situation for Aquarius. That's probably where they will show the most emotion throughout their lifetime, is like when it's concerning their mom, their work, and their health is where they will probably show the most emotional concerns in life. For the Aquarius rising person, they do have Leo on the 7th house cusp. The 7th house is all about partnerships, marriages, you know, just other people outside of your home, outside of your family. So when they're around other people, they want to be the authority. They want to be the authority. That's why they communicate the way they communicate with Aries on the 3rd house cusp. They talk to people with this sense of authority. They deal with people with a sense of authority. And it sometimes they can rub people the wrong way, and people may feel like, oh, they think they're better just because they're smart. Just because they're intelligent, they think they're better than others. So when dealing with other people, they may be deemed as being a weirdo, being an asshole. They can be labeled as the person who loves attention, you know, and all of those great things. But in all actuality, Aquarius rising people having Leo on that 7th house cusp is really difficult for them in relationships because of the simple fact they have air element on their rising, they have fire element in their relationship house. Both of these represents freedom, and being in a relationship or a committed relationship such as a marriage, it's very difficult having these placements here, because it can just kind of like cause a great deal of conflict, you know, a great deal of issues. So it's kind of like they have to find the right person that is really, you know, willing to accept the Aquarius rising type nature. And like I said, having Gemini on the 5th house cusp is like them having all this air energy and then this fire, a lot of freedom. So their relation, a lot of Aquarius rising people, they may opt to have like a more open type relationship where they don't really settle down anytime quickly or soon. If they do settle down, it is definitely with a person who truly understands the nature of the Aquarius rising person. Otherwise, a lot of them probably opt to stay single, you know, for quite some time. Now I'm not saying that all Aquarius rising people are gonna be single, you know, it just may be an option, and that they choose to, you know, that they choose choose to go with because of how their nature is. Aquarius rising people, they're extremely intelligent. You know, they easily adapt to things. Although, you know, they have Aquarius on the first house cusp, and Aquarius is a fixed sign, they're still adaptable, you know, because they have Virgo on the 8th house cusp. So they can adapt to certain things, especially when it comes to situations dealing with things behind closed doors, you know, because the 8th house is all about, you know, things that happen behind closed doors, intimacy, you know, taboo thing, mysticism, whatever, you know, debts and taxes and things. So things like that, they can deal with, they can adapt very well, because having Virgo here, a mutable sign, they can adapt, you know, they can be in an open relationship, they can be in types relationships that's not, you know, befitting to the societal norms, you know. They can actually be the type of person who actually can be very investigative. I feel like a really good job for Aquarius rising people will probably be, you know, being an investigator or something. But I mean, definitely creating and innovating is something that is very, very positive for Aquarius rising people. But I also feel like if they just get normal jobs, I feel like they will be the type of people who will be awesome detectives, because it gives them that adventure, you know, because they like adventure. They don't want to have a boring routine type activity, because this is air sign, so they want to have fun. So I feel like being a detective, also for a lot of Aquarius rising people, just, you know, being someone that works with a huge group, you know, working with groups and organizations where they can actually be the leader of the pack, you know. Having Virgo on the 8th house cusp also indicates that Aquarius rising people can actually be healers. So in all actuality, they can definitely have jobs where they can heal people, like maybe going into the medical field. I just feel like a lot of Aquarius rising people will do really well when it comes to like helping people to become better, you know, healing either through medicine or spirituality, you know. I just feel like they can just be these nice, wonderful healing type people. This is what makes them so intelligent. A lot of them are extremely intelligent, and whatever they're doing, they pay close attention to details. That is why I feel like they can actually be a wonderful detective, because they're not gonna really miss anything. Maybe they would do really good in a job dealing with forensic science, you know, or doing something dealing with medicine, because they can also be wonderful healers, you know, either through spirituality as well as just medicine, you know. So I feel like they're extremely smart. They're the type of people that definitely need to be in a field where they can actually help people, because they are the humanitarians as well. Also, for a lot of Aquarius rising people, of course, they do come off as being extremely strange to people, because maybe they do work, you know, maybe they do work at a morgue or something. I don't know, maybe they do. But whatever the case may be, you know, a lot of times people just feel like, oh, they're just so strange, they're so weird. So Aquarius rising people probably get asked a lot of times, where do you come from? Who are you? Why are you this way? But in all actuality, they are who they are, and they are simply amazing. Another thing about the Aquarius rising people is they have Libra on the 9th house cusp, which Libra is the sign of balance and just like, you know, dealing with other people and things of that nature. So I feel like a lot of times Aquarius rising people, if they do get married really early on in life, a lot of times they do get divorced, and then they may remarry at some point in time, or they may opt to never remarry again, and just, you know, they learned from the first marriage, and then they're just like, I'm never going to do it again, because that was a waste of my time, their time. I know who I am, and I'm not made for these type of relationships, so I'm just gonna stay this way. I'm just gonna remain single until this wonderful, amazing, you know, weird, different person comes along that matches me, and then at that point we can think about it. But most Aquarius rising people, they either if they do get married, they usually remarry, or they definitely probably will experience a divorce or something, or some type in their life. Aquarius rising people, they're always searching for a balance between, you know, just being that rebel opposed to, you know, being that college kid. Sometimes they can actually forget about college. Sometimes they have a very difficult time balancing it out, and it can feel like it's kind of like overwhelming, because Libra is a conflicting sign, and it causes us to feel conflicted wherever it's placed. So it's just like, it can be a lot of conflict when it comes to, you know, like dealing with education, dealing with their philosophical views. So they can come off as being a tad bit confused about what belief systems they should follow, or what the belief systems actually represent in real life anyway. You know, they may feel like it's just stupid, you know, or it just doesn't make sense, because they can just feel really conflicted when it comes to religion, or, you know, schooling and higher education, anything of that nature. And even when it comes to travel, a lot of times they may feel themselves always feeling like, oh, I want to go, but I don't want to go. I want to go, but I don't want to pack. I want to go, but what's the sense? What's the use? What's the purpose? You know, so it just can be conflicts of that type when it comes to movement, travel, education, and philosophical views. They can just feel a little bit confused or feel conflicted whenever they're dealing with those type of situations. Like I was saying too about like with Virgo being on the 8th house cusp, paying very close attention to details, and people like not really, you know, people are like, you know, and probably working in a morgue or something, because they do have Scorpio on that 10th house cusp. And Scorpio is all about that, you know, that mysticism. And maybe they just have this inkling that they want to work on the body. You know, they may want to do some work on the body. So either alive or dead, they want to do something with the body. You know, I just feel like a lot of them are like that. Scorpios are definitely detectives, they're doctors, they're like scientists or something of that nature. They are people who love science. So whatever type job that the Aquarius rising person ends up with, it usually deals with science or something that's dealing with, you know, something with the body. Or they can also be engineers, of course, but I just feel like it's something in the medical field that they need to be doing. If they're not doing something in the medical field, if you guys are not doing something in the medical field, you need to be doing something in the medical field, you know, because that's just something that's going to be more beneficial to you. It's going to make you feel happy. Although people may not understand your career choices, it's going to be a career choice that's going to make you feel happy and fulfilled in this world. Because if you're feeling unfulfilled with whatever you're doing in your life right now, because it's not dealing with the medical field or detective or something like that, you know, you need to deal with science. I mean, I just feel like you need to deal with science. Having Scorpio here, you need to deal with something dealing with science. And if you're not, then I think you should look into it. If you're trying to figure out which direction or what career to choose, you need to go into the science field. And I just feel like that's going to be very beneficial for you. Having Sagittarius on the 10th house cusp for Aquarius rising people, they tend to be so lucky when it comes to dealing with other people. Like other people, like I said before, like, you know, this correlates back to the 2nd house, because, you know, Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter or whatever. So like, I just feel like a lot of times, because they have been so lucky in their life through other people helping them and doing things for them, they just like, oh my goodness, they just actually have the best of luck when doing humanitarian type activities, because people just really love the Aquarius rising people. They meet people of all walks of life. People just like love Aquarius rising people. They attract friends even when they're not looking for friends. They don't need friends or want friends, but they always get friends. I mean, they do like friends and they do want friends, but what I'm saying, even if they don't and they're in that mood, they actually attract people to them, because people love Aquarius rising people, because you guys are absolutely so friendly. You show yourselves as being friendly, and people just love that. And you're always being so helpful all the time in groups of people. Although you have a difficult time in personal one-on-one relationships, you have the biggest heart. And I guess it's because you have to love a multitude of people, and it's just really difficult concentrating on one person. So you can face conflicts in one-on-one relationships, but when you're in a group of people, it's just like you shine, you become so big, like you're larger than life, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the largest planet. So there's an expansion in your group activities. You know, as an Aquarius rising person, you may find yourself always being invited to these massive groups and organizations that you probably have to speak at, or they're probably recognizing you for something you did and you weren't even thinking about you know, trying to get any recognition. You were just doing what your heart told you to do, and because of that, you were recognized for it, and you get blessings for it, because all your hopes and your wishes is found in this house. So I feel like a lot of Aquarius rising people, their hopes, their wishes are kind of like fulfilled through groups and organizations. So throughout your lifetime, if you're invited to groups and you're a part of a group and you do great things, you are a humanitarian, continue to do that, because that's going to prove to be a major blessing in your life. You have Capricorn on the 12th house cusp. They can be very intuitive, that you can pick up vibrations off of people, but at the same token, they just kind of like, they're not real good with responsibilities, you know, kind of like correlating back to that second house again. You know, they lack, you know, responsibility. You know, maybe they had a mom that actually, you know, took really good care of them and didn't really give them a lot of responsibilities, but could have. But just speaking in terms of not knowing your actual birth chart, maybe their mom took on the role of taking care of a lot of things, always, you know, making sure the most important things, she took care of them, not really giving her Aquarius rising child a whole lot of responsibility that they had to really be responsible for. Maybe small things like doing the chores, but not really anything major, because she wanted to make sure it was done correctly. So the Aquarius rising child never got an opportunity to really truly understand how to be totally responsible, you know, like responsible with their finances, or being responsible with their career, you know, going to work. You have to go to work, Aquarius rising people, because I feel like a lot of Aquarius rising people, some of them, they may not like the routine, so sometimes they may miss work a lot, or, you know, just kind of like lollygag or find the easiest way to get things done sometimes, because they would rather get back to their fun life, you know, having Gemini on the 5th house cusp. They'd rather get back out there having fun, or they would rather be doing humanitarian type work because they have Jupiter here, and they have Jupiter ruling that 11th house. So they want to get out and just have fun and be with their groups and their organizations, because that brings them the most joy and things of that nature. But however, having Capricorn here in the 12th house, they're just really the type of people who just really don't care a whole lot about responsibility, because the sign that brings them the most structure is kind of like hidden away from them a lot of times. And sometimes Aquarius rising people, they can just lack practicality, you know, like they're very intelligent, but sometimes they lack logic. They're not very logical in their decision makings for their life, you know, what is going to serve them the best for their life. They're very intelligent, but in that way, that's kind of like where they kind of lack. And people look at them and be like, you're so weird. This doesn't make any sense. You're so smart, but yet you rather do this, and this is going to not bring you any type of success. It just doesn't make sense. So I feel like because that practicality is kind of like hidden away in that 12th house, a lot of them can lack, you know, in logic. So all together, Aquarius rising people, they're the rebels. I mean, they're very sociable, they're very friendly people, they're very innovative, you know, they're just extremely they are the humanitarians, you know, they're super unique and they value their freedom. But on the downside for Aquarius rising people, they lack in logic, they lack in reasoning with other people, they lack in patience, they can also lack in routine, you know, they also lack in responsibility. So they have a difficult time being responsible, and I feel like that can also, you know, so overall, like with Aquarius rising people, you know, these can all change for you guys, just dependent on the actual planet that's ruling the house and things of that nature. So make sure you look into your personal birth chart and tell me in the comment section what trait actually really resonates with you. Until the next time, you guys, I wish you so much love, peace, and so many wonderful blessings. Bye.